Get in, nerds! We are playing Victoria 3. So, I'm thinking about consumption taxes. I've kind of got the consumption taxes, the sort of maximum consumption taxes that I can run, or really the minimum that I can run, because I need to keep my authority up. So, we're just going to keep going kind of the way we're going. I want to talk a little bit about Orléanism and what it means. King Louis Philippe d'Orléans was historically, as a character, very much wanted to he very much wanted to stay in the free market economic space. He associated himself much more with bankers and industrial interests than he did with the traditional aristocracy. He eschewed the kind of bombastic ritualism of the absolute monarchy, you know, of Louis XIV, the Sun King, and all the other and many of the more recent Bourbon monarchs. The House of Orléans is actually a branch of the House of Bourbon. But they're a branch based out of Orléans, which is here. So that's kind of what he's got going on. He styled himself King of the French, which Napoleon did before him. Emperor of the French is what he eventually called himself. But as opposed to King of France, which is what he was called, which is what many of the previous kings of France were called. And that emphasized his role as a popular leader, not just as a sort of an aristocratic owner of the country. Anyway, the unsettled nature of Belgian-Dutch relations have threatened European stability since 1830. A conference to settle the issue for good has now been called in London, where the great powers of Europe all invited to arbitrate. For nearly a decade, we have sought to bring these two parties to the table, and for nearly a decade we have been frustrated in our efforts. Now, be it by providence or by a stroke of luck, we have them right where we want them. Let us not waste this opportunity. The stability of Europe depends on our success. Let us settle this matter once and for all, adds London Conference to the Journal of France. Participating great powers will vote in a solution to be ratified by Belgium and the Netherlands, or we have no interest in this squabble. Deteriorates relations towards the Belgians and the Dutch by 20. I'm going to settle this matter once and for all. So, let's take a look at that. The great powers have sent their delegations to London to decide on a solution to the unsolved border issues between the Netherlands and Belgium. One great power is participating in the conference, that's me. We have 4 different opportunities here, which I'll read through in a moment, but first we'll do the rest of the conference. The conference will conclude in 6 months. The proposal with the most prestige supporting it will then be selected as the conference's official position. The conference is not yet concluded. Will complete if the conference has decided how to settle the Belgian question, and Belgium and the Netherlands have both accepted the outcome of the conference. If completed triggers the event, the London Conference concludes. Will fail if at least one of these, either Belgium and the Netherlands have rejected the outcome of the conference, or hostilities have broken out between Belgium and the Netherlands. If failed, triggers the event failure of the London Conference. So, what are our 4 options here? Favor Belgian claims. Belgium is to receive the provinces of Limburg and Luxembourg in full. In order to compensate the Netherlands for the loss of these 2 provinces, Belgium must assume the total public debt of the former United Kingdom of the Netherlands. Now, Belgium likes this. Netherlands does not. Now, I don't know. I know this is Luxembourg, but I don't know where Limburg is. I suspect it's this, but I could be wrong. I know they make a very, very pungent type of cheese there, but that's all I know, or at least I assume so. The cheese is called Limburger cheese, and it is famously pungent. Option 2, favor Dutch claims. Netherlands is to receive the provinces of Limburg and Luxembourg in full. In order to compensate Belgium for the loss of these 2 provinces, Netherlands must assume the total debt of the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. Okay, so if I favor one of these, whichever country sort of makes it out with both things, that country is the one that takes on the debts. Favor the 24 points. The provinces of Limburg and Luxembourg will be partitioned between Belgium and the Netherlands. In order to compensate the German Federation for the loss of Western Luxembourg, Limburg will be established as a Dutch subject and a nominal member of the German Confederation. So I'm assuming, again, that's here. That's interesting. Austrian relations towards France improves. following be true for every German-cultured country in Europe. That's interesting. Or favor an alternate partition. Belgium will retain the entire province of Limburg in exchange for Netherlands receiving the entirety of Luxembourg. So that's interesting. I think I am going to favor Belgium. How are relations between me and Belgium? Relations between me and Belgium are all right. We got some agreements here. So I think I would like to favor Belgium in this whole situation. So I'm going to set that. That's going to put my 663 prestige on the side of Belgium. And we'll keep an eye on this as things progress. So now the question I need to ask myself is, I think I'm going to let legal guardianship go one more pass. I don't think I'm going to get it right now because I just got successes 2 in a row. And if I get an ace on something I don't care about, I will feel very silly. Because I'm genuinely considering pushing the Catholic Church out of the government, and then their being unhappy won't cause as much of an issue. But I think I can live with this a little bit. Alright, now we got pretty decent infamy here. So I'm not going to go ahead and snag Constantine right away. Discord within the armed forces. An influential faction within the armed forces has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of legal guardianship. Themselves in favor of the law, they've now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. How can you all stand idly by and watch the world pass before your eyes? Have you no sense of honor, of duty to your fellow man? I say nay to such lack of ambition, and I dare say I am not alone in this. With their support, the bill shall pass. Extra enactment success chance, armed forces slightly weaker. Or, the landowners extend an open hand to these mavericks. Smaller increase the success chance, armed forces significantly weaker, landowners slightly stronger. Now, here's the situation. The armed forces are currently headed up by an Orléanist, but so are the landowners. So slightly weaker armed forces, slightly stronger landowners isn't necessarily a problem for me. At least in this particular point. So I'm going to pick the second one. Again, I don't want too much enactment success chance. Now, I still have the ability to swap up my government, but I can't do that too soon. So what I'll actually probably do, if I reform the government to be just the intelligentsia and the industrialists, that's going to only put me at a contested government, which is less good for my my situation here. So what am I getting from legitimacy? Only 0.3, and these two are losing ground from legitimacy. Yeah, it's such a good. You know what? I'm gonna keep it. Unfortunately for the women of France, this is just going to continue as it is for now. Let's take another quick look at our market. Iron is still crazy expensive, but we're building up just scads of iron mines, huge iron supplies. Which I am pretty pleased with overall. In construction sector is not the size that I'm hoping it is. Investment pool is continuing to go up. And maybe the answer is I want to build up my own trade center. Interesting. Maybe I want to build up a little bit more construction, but I don't necessarily. I'm paying a decent amount in interest. Paying a little bit in treaties. Who am I paying treaties to? Oh, this is for the porcelain that I'm buying from my own market to transfer to Belgium. That's really interesting. That's interesting. I hadn't considered this. I think I'm going to continue to suppress the Bonapartist movement. The Bonapartist movement has a high chance of being the movement that really gets me in this event chain here. I am making very good progress compared to the others, but I need to keep a handle on that, because if I don't, it will be a large headache. 15.7 infamy to take Constantine, so I need to wait realistically a little bit more than a year in order to make that happen. Let's take another quick look at the London Conference and see where the powers are. So, a lot of European powers favor the 24 points, which is interesting. I can't change. That's interesting. Alright, well, fair enough. I suppose that's the way things go. I didn't realize that. Now, I currently only hold all of Algiers, and Constantine is split between me and Constantine, so, you know. Rousing speech captivates the public. This afternoon, Hippolyte Murat, leader of the Catholic Church, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of legal guardianship. Making an appearance before the public in Paris' main square, Hippolyte Murat's powerful rhetoric left even his most embittered political opponents impressed. Excerpts from the speech are already being circulated across France, fanning the fires of an already roaring debate. This should ease the path to reform greatly, 15% enactment chance. Or performances like this reflect well on Hippolyte Murat and his cause. I don't want to give him more popularity because he's a legitimist, so I'm just going to say this should ease the path to reform greatly. I think... Gosh, I don't want to switch up the government, but I think I gotta. Unfortunately, I passed by my time because I wasn't thinking about it, but that's okay. This is going to cost us some legitimacy. The Catholic Church are very upset now. But we'll see sort of how this goes. Now, I still have a 30% chance of passing this law. If I cancel it out now, the Catholic Church will be very upset, but I don't think they're necessarily going to do anything. So, I think now's the time. I've got... So now the Catholic Church is very upset. I'm losing a bunch of authority and education access on this, but that's alright. These things happen. If I can keep the economy growing and the country running smooth, I think we'll be fine. Many interesting options here. Basically, with construction, I'm still working on increasing the size of my iron industry. Because I have to get the cost of construction down. I am bringing in all the engines in France. Where am I producing my steel? Is an important question I need to answer. It's all being produced in Alsace-Lorraine, so that's no good. That's no good at all. Let's build up a steel industry in Normandy. We're going to need 2 levels here. And we'll also build an engines industry, a motor industry, here as well. And that will serve our railways. And I think we'll put that right at the bottom of the other iron mines, and that will be very good. That'll allow us to have better autarky for our railway system, and that will be overall pretty good. Now, there's a question of, like, do I sacrifice a little bit of cash flow in order to just also suppress the legitimist movement? And I think actually I do. Because, again, I need these other movements to be gaining ground as slowly as possible. And the legitimists are getting a decent amount of progress from movement support. As you can see, the fact that my legitimacy has been reduced means I'm no longer gaining a significant differential from government legitimacy, but it was necessary in order to do the reforms I want to do. So, one question. If I go to total separation, the Catholic Church is going to be very upset by that, which is unfortunate. And that'll make the legitimist movement stronger as well, so I don't necessarily want to do that. Colonial resettlement's good to go. I can't get a health system out of it because I don't have pharmaceuticals researched yet, but I could get pharmaceuticals researched. And that would be nice. That's curious. Now, I do have the ability to sway characters to Orléanism. So let's see. If I get... Edoltier is quite well liked. So I pull him in. Again, I'm getting the Catholic Church dangerously unhappy, but, you know, I think it's worth it. Should have done this first. Oh well. So that's going to get us even more Orléanist progress. Now, we're a little bit short on bureaucracy. I'm just going to quickly build up a couple of government... Actually, before I do that, anywhere I'm short, Languedoc down here is short on governance capacity, and so is Aquitaine by a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, we're short quite a bit. So let's build up a few levels of government here, and we'll use those to increase our bureaucracy, because of course we're now short on bureaucracy. The Association of Syndicates has been formed by the United States of America. That's interesting. Are you doing a big syndicalism, America? They're not. They're since the suffrage republic. Still doing legacy slavery. They haven't had their civil war yet. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how things go with that. Again, long term, my goal is to increase the size of my construction sector, but I need the iron before I can go anywhere with that. And right now, the price of iron isn't going down that much because we're currently reducing our dependency on foreign iron first. And it's only after that that we'll be actually building up a better iron supply. So that's why this number isn't really going down. It is better for us. It's keeping the profits in France, which is what we need. But that's all. The French-British Association offers an opportunity. The French-British Association has offered us an opportunity to establish a defensive pact with Great Britain. The lobbyists offered to use their connections to smooth the negotiating process. The negotiations, done under the table with a representative of the British government, have been long and arduous. The British representative knew that they were dealing with a group without the power to match theirs, and had adjusted their strategy accordingly. Nevertheless, they had come to an agreement. Nothing in writing, but that was hardly important. When the government sent the official copy, if they did, they would find there was already a drafted response waiting in London. We'd be happy to pursue this, adds lobby opportunity, or this is not in our interest. I'm going to say this is not in our interests, and I'm going to tell you why. We are the number 2 power. Great Britain is the number 1 power. Defending them is only a problem for us. It doesn't benefit us at all. The Rouen Advocate, an explicitly partisan newspaper founded by members of the Legitimist movement in Rouen, has published its first issue. Between advertisements and political cartoons, it hosts a ruthless critique of the government policy. Interesting. So this is going to be tied to our divided monarchy situation. There was a certain brilliance to it. By printing it on the cheapest paper, by skimping on ink, by flooding it with advertisements and large text, one could produce a profitable paper for only a penny per copy, whilst its competitors sold for 5 to 10 times that amount. By making the paper relentlessly and shamelessly endorse a certain viewpoint, one could have every working person in the city aware of it by evening. If one's competitors refused to stoop that low, they would become responsible for their own suffocation. How long can a partisan paper last? Slightly stronger legitimist movement. Or is that so deny them a printing license? Weaker legitimist movement, but slightly more active. I'm going to go with the second one. 5% activism is only 1.5 percentage points with my with 31% activism, so I think making them weaker is better. And since that doesn't impact the divided monarchies directly, it should be fine. Strange bedfellows. The legitimist Catholic Church and radical rural folk recognize that they share one common goal, the overthrow of the current regime. Some partisans have gone further with that realization and are supporting each other in courtroom cases, publishing tracts, and other opposition activities. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, is he not? Of course, all those bums over there came to the wrong conclusions about what is to be done. We can burn that bridge when we get to it. Destroying the establishment requires solidarity among all sorts, a stronger Catholic Church and stronger rural folk, and increases the progress of the legitimists by 10. Don't want that. It is better to be alone and correct than compromised with bad company. They both get stronger, but less than they would be with this one. Or, such unnatural collaboration cannot possibly maintain itself. Decreases the progress of the legitimists by 10% and weakens both interest groups. I'm going to do the third one, because making the Catholic Church and the rural folk weaker is good for us overall. Oh, City of Plenty. The most prominent members of Ile-de-France high society have been seen organizing luxurious parties in the new and lavish urban buildings. Marble walls, shimmering stone. The noise of people coming and going brings the city back to life when we didn't even know it was dead. Tall buildings cover the sunset, kids play with bricks, smoke blends with the clouds, and a distant bell announces the next train. Progress is coming. Let them celebrate. This makes 10% of upper and middle stratum pops in Ile-de-France more loyalist. Or, the party will never end. This gets us 25% more loyalist upper and middle stratum pops, but it increases the minimum standard of living for the upper strata by 3. So, for 10 years. So the question is, what's the standard of living look like for the upper classes, and how does that compare to the minimum? So the minimum expected is 21. They're currently at 37. I think I'll definitely be able to hold that. So it's basically the middle option here. The first option here is just taking the extra loyalists. The second option here is way more loyalists, but it's also, I'm making a bet that I can maintain that high standard of living for the upper classes. And I think I can, because they're very, very far above their minimum. So I'm going to do the second one. That's going to get us a very small amount of extra loyalists in total, but a very large and impactful number in terms of the population and the politics. Oh, Jean de Dieu Soult has died. That's interesting. So that's going to change up what? There's a Bonapartist in charge of the armed forces now. Oh, that's not great. Is he popular? Only a little bit. Only a little bit. That's not ideal. The weakening of the Catholic Church and the rural folk, though, have made our government significantly more legitimate, which I am pleased about. Very pleased, in fact. Now let's see. What's going on with the legitimist movement? Let me take a look at their graphs. So they are going up in agitation, but they're going down in support. So I'm feeling pretty confident in terms of my ability to do as I like. How's the progress? 4.5 for the Orléanists. We're getting a little bit of extra from government legitimacy. 2.9 for the legitimists. And 2.3 for the Bonapartists, which means we are... the House of Orléans is solidly in the lead at this point. It doesn't mean we can relax about it, but it means we're making good headway. The conference has concluded and decided to partition the disputed areas between Netherlands and Belgium, dividing both Luxembourg and Limburg. European powers guarantee peace and stability. The newly ratified Treaty of London is a cornerstone of European peace. It solidifies Belgium's neutrality and independence and marks a new chapter in European diplomacy, one that prioritizes peace and mutual respect among nations, while the Dutch delegation continued on page 3 through 6. For peace in our time, hurrah! Territory will be exchanged between Belgium and Netherlands in accordance with the treaty obligations, and France gets a little influence bonus. So I'm gonna look in here and see. Okay, so this has already happened. So this, yeah, so I'm right. So this is Limburg. Limburg is a subject of the Netherlands, but they're a German-speaking. No, they're part of the German Federation, but they're still a Dutch country, and they're headed up by King Willem van Oranje-Nassau. Interesting. Who's leading the Netherlands proper right now? Oh, it's the same guy. All right, so they're a personal union. That's what that is. They are a personal union. Yes, here we go. I understand. And then as you can see, Luxembourg has grown significantly larger. And they've remained a subject of the Netherlands. All right, cool. Interesting outcome. Nothing shocking there, but good. All right. So we are now supplying all of our own iron needs, which is very good. We're working on one more fertilizer plant that's going to hopefully end our dependence on foreign fertilizer. Interesting. We have an import subvention. Well, that's not shocking. Flood in Burgundy. Well, that's a tragedy. I should look at trade policy. Hold on. There's a right, here we go. Here's our goods list. Show all. I just want to look at all of our goods. I suspect we're at the default for protectionism, which is small import and export tariffs for everything except for engines. But we're gonna find out here. Yep, it's looking like that's about the size of it. This is something I should have checked earlier, but I did not. Alright, and there's pharmaceuticals. Excellent. So, we now have the capacity to produce a health insurance system. And in this case, it's going to be a private health insurance system because that's what our country wants. Unfortunately, I can't make the I can't make the intelligentsia happy because they don't actually like a public health system. This is going to cost me some bureaucracy, but I think it's still worth it largely. Let me see. Effects of private health insurance are extra reduced bureaucracy cost, petite bourgeoisie political strength, standard of living for the upper strata, slightly reduced pollution health reduction, and reduced mortality per wealth. So it's, I think, overall not as good as public, but it's still worth it to get started with. Plus, we're working on a laissez-faire private sector economy, so this is part of our roleplay priorities here. The fruits of industry. The prosperity of the French trade has greatly benefited the wealthy patrons of the Orléanist cause. Excellent. They reinvested their funds in supporting their candidates' claims. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The barons of the old held forges and fields. Today they hold machines and merchant warehouses. It makes no difference to a wise king which keys the barons keep, so long as the keys stay in the right hands. The king is the patron of French prosperity. The king becomes more popular, which also gives us extra progress for the divided monarchists. Increases the progress of the Orléanists by 15. Our magnates deserve praise for their hard work. Slightly stronger industrialists increase the progress of the Orléanists by 10. Or this bodes well for the Orléanist cause, increase the progress of the Orléanists by 25. Okay, so that's interesting. Now the head of the the industrialists are a Bonapartist interest group. King Louis Philippe is old, but not too old. I love the idea of getting a big buffer of 25 points. But I think I'm going to go with the first one. I think that's going to pay dividends in the longer term. I'm not actually... Hold on. Let me see if I can figure this out a little bit better. So, combined popularity of Orléanist characters. I think that's... And so we're getting 0.5 right now. Our Orléanist characters are the king, who has none. The heir, who has 25. The head of the intelligentsia, who has 50. The head of the landowners, who has none. So it's just the king and the head of the intelligentsia right now. So if we... Oh, the king has none. The king has none, the heir has 25. Maybe the heir is not impacting. So what this tells me is that that's going to be 0.25 if I get the king 25 extra popularity. Now 0.25 per month means that over 5 years it's going to be 0.25 times 60, which is going to be 15 overall progress. Which means that this first option is going to be better longer term. So I'm going to hit that button, and I'm going to see if I'm right. Yes, 0.7 for combined popularity of Orléanist characters. Alright, I think I got it right. That may be a rounded out number, it may not be. We'll see. But yeah, feeling pretty good about that overall plan. Still working on getting the iron supplies that we need. I'm feeling a little bit rough here. I do definitely want to... Actually, I want to queue in some universities, because I feel like universities are vital to my long-term success here. Let's get all of our lead mines in the Atmo pump engine. Let's get all of our military buildings using the highest potential method. Regional company headquarters are split. They're all privately owned. Alright, cool. Where's my... Oh my goodness, I'm not using philosophy departments. Unbelievable. I can't believe this. What a fool I am. So we've got 3 levels... We got 2 levels in Languedoc, so I'm going to increase that up to 5. Then we've got 5 levels each in Normandy and Ménanjou. And that's going to take a long time to work, but it's going to ultimately be very good for the country. Just in terms of getting our innovation capacity up and allowing us to remain out ahead of the technological situation, which we're currently out ahead of, but we want to stay out ahead of. Iron mines continuing to produce more and more, but these iron mines are profitable, right? Health taxes debate. They mostly are. But the calls for some form of healthcare system, many are questioning where the money for setting up the new healthcare system will come from, while some are suggesting simply taking it out of our tax funds, while others insist the government should find another way to cover the costs. Let me get this straight. You expect us to not only pay for our own healthcare, but someone else's as well? I don't want the money I pay in taxes to be used by some random farmers to be able to get healthcare. That's not my responsibility. I have my own health and family to think of. I can't possibly afford to look after everyone else in France as well. Taking from the tax funds, industrialists big mad, reduce tax income, but this is only while we're working on the healthcare law. The government should cover the costs. Costs a pile of money, increase success chance, or we can get by without it, increase success chance, but not that much. I'm going to say take it from the tax funds. The industrialists will be fine. They're very happy with this overall change to a private health insurance system to begin with. As we build up the necessary capacity to, as we build up towards this healthcare thing, I'm going to increase the size of the government so that we can have the necessary bureaucratic capacity. Because currently the bureaucratic capacity of each each institution level is pretty high, and I want to make sure that we're having all the capacity we need. Can I make the rural folk happy in some way? Not really. I could go to an agrarian economy, but that's not really going to benefit anyone. Except for the legitimists, and I certainly don't want to be benefiting them. Progress is still going okay. 4.8 average, 4.7 average for the Orléanistes compared to 2.5 and 2.4. So we're going almost twice as fast as these other groups. Suppressing those movements, I think, was definitely the right call. I definitely feel like that was the smart way of going about things. Now we just need to make sure that none of these movements get so feisty that they try to start a civil war. Ile-de-France does not have a very high number of radicals. There's quite a few, but not that many overall. The population of Ile-de-France is quite high in total, 1.87 million, and only about 125,000 total radicals. So I think things will be pretty well here. We got a lot of loyal farmers. We got a lot of loyal academics. Well, no loyal aristocrats, which is a little bit shocking, but since we did that event, but that's okay. Crooked connections. Frustrated with the lengthy legal process surrounding private health insurance, Léonce Barguet of the Industrialists has approached us with an offer to expedite the process, utilizing his personal connections within the state apparatus. A few words in the right ears is all I'm asking for. Everything within the bounds of the law, of course, although I can't guarantee that our opponents in this matter will view such actions with much glee. Granted permission, time is of the essence. Salty Catholic Church, reduced time. Or no, we do this by the book or not at all. I'm going to have to go with the second one. I don't want to piss off the Catholic Church any more than I've pissed them off already. They're very upset with a variety of things. The overt monarchist influence thing, I think, lasts 5 years. So that's going to go away. These concerns from when they were in command of the country will go away at some point, but for now, we need to look after them a little bit. The words of the Church. The burgeoning prestige and influence of the Catholic Church has led to a corresponding rise in the fortunes of the legitimist cause. Nostalgic clergymen sing the praises of the kings of old. The brass bells of Rheims were polished to a mirror gleam that morning. It is long since the coronation was held here. Once bells heralded days of kings, named by God as the shining jewel in his crown. Now only ghosts and cobwebs accompany the bells. But the kingdom of God is eternal, and it is only a matter of time before the bells sing for a new king. The church is the bedrock upon which we rest. Stronger Catholic Church increased the progress of the legitimists by 5. Or, this bodes well for the legitimist cause, increased the progress of the legitimists by 15. What's the actual differential here? 245 for the Orléanists, 146 for the legitimists. I'm going to go with the second one to avoid increasing the strength of the Catholic Church. Because the Catholic Church is quite strong in France, and I don't want them to become an overwhelming interest group that can basically single-handedly dictate policy. Now, infamy is going down, so I think at the beginning of the next episode we're going to go after Constantine. We've still got a truce with Mascara that lasts for another 22 months, but hopefully it won't be too long before we can snag what we want to snag, get what we want to get, and just generally be where we want to be. We finished our government increase, and that's provided us with some extra bureaucracy, so hopefully that'll be enough for healthcare. And now we're working on these iron mines once again. I'm going to take this steel mill up to here so that it'll be... We'll get working on it. I'm still not financially in a position where I can increase the size of the construction sector. I'm not super pleased with that, but it is what it is. We've unlocked joint stock companies. That's very good. This gives us an extra company capacity. But unfortunately, that is all the time we've got for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun as well, and I will see you on the other side.